Continuing the introduction to Babylonian Magic and Sorcery by Leonard W. King. Lifting up the hand must have been multiple hands, I'm sure. A still further indication of editing may be seen in the colophons with which the tablets conclude. It is true the majority of them end with the formula which is commonly found on the tablets from Ashurbanipal's library, and which may be translated as follows: the palace of Ashurbanipal, king of the world, king of Assyria, who in Ashur and Belit puts his trust, on whom Nabu and Tashmitu have bestowed broad ears, who has acquired clear eyes, the valued products of the scribe's art, such as no one among the kings who have gone before me had acquired, the wisdom of Nabu as much as exists. I have inscribed on tablets, I have arranged in groups, I have revised, and for the sight of my reading have set in my palace, I, the ruler, who knoweth the light of Ashur, the king of the entities. Whoever carries off this tablet, or with my name inscribes his own name, may Ashur and Belit in wrath and anger cast him down and destroy his name and seed in the land. The colophon is by no means universal, however, for we find shorter ones and numbers 11 and 33. That looks like two eyes. Is that number 2 instead? While numbers 18, 35, 38, and 41 present various differences to the normal conclusion, and number 10 merely contains the note that the tablet was copied from an older original. The reason that no colophons occur in numbers 19, 29, and 50, the ends of which are left blank, is to be sought in the fact that these tablets contain single prayers extracted from the larger tablets for some temporary purpose. K 3332 is as the duplicate A of number 1, K 2836 and K 6593, the duplicate A of number 27, which are also without colophons, contain similar extracts. These extracts from the longer text are inscribed on small tablets rather than large characters. The evidence of catch lines, duplicates, series, and colophons therefore all leads to the same conclusion, that the tablets are not arranged on one plan, but have undergone several redactions, and it is obvious that any attempt to restore the original order would be fruitless. Unless there was more information, right? It was necessary, therefore, to arrange them for publication on some other principle, and the plan adopted has been to classify them according to the entities to whom the prayers and incantations are addressed. The fact that while some of the tablets contain prayers and incantations addressed only to one entity, while the contents of others refer to several different entities, in succession furnished a basis for classification, and the text fell naturally into 5 divisions or sections, and the first are those tablets which contain prayers, etc., addressed successively to each of a group of entities, and the second are tablets, the contents of which refer only to one entity, and the third, the suppliant on each tablet addresses himself throughout to one female entity. The fourth section consists of fragmentary tablets from which the names of the entities addressed are missing, while in the fifth are collected prayers, etc., addressed to astral entities. This method of arrangement, though convenient, is open to objection on one point. The tablets are classified according to their contents at the present moment. For many of them, however, large parts are missing, and it is possible that when complete they might have fallen under different sections, to those they now occupy. The objection, however, is not confined to the present arrangement, but might be urged against, say, any alternative method. It is, in fact, a disadvantage which is inseparable from a collection of tablets comprising some that have not been preserved intact. The uses to which the prayers of the lifting of the hand could be put are somewhat varied, corresponding to the scope of the petitions and incantations they contain. With the exception of the tablets set aside for use after a lunar eclipse, they appear to have been intended for somewhat general use. It is true that from the accompanying ceremonies we can sometimes gather further details as to the time and occasions suitable for their employment, but in the majority of cases we are dependent on internal evidence to ascertain the circumstances which attended their recital. In form and structure, they present a general resemblance to each other. Each prayer or incantation consists of 3 principal divisions, which vary considerably in their comparative length and importance. The beginning of a prayer, as a rule, consists of an introduction in which the entity addressed is called upon by name, his power or mercy praised, and his special functions or attributes referred to or described. The suppliant then turns to his own condition of distress, and his petitions for help and deliverance form the second main section of the prayer, and conclusion is generally in the form of a short doxology. In the invocation of an entity, the most extravagant praise could be employed, the suppliant in his utterances not confining himself to strict theology. Any entity whose help he sought, however unimportant, was for him at that moment one of the greatest of the entities. It is true that the greater entities are praised for their special powers and characteristics, but the lesser entities share with them the most exalted titles, a practice which may have been the result of anxiety to secure by any means the favor of the entity addressed. All the prayers are for the use of individuals, and in many of them a formula occurs in which the suppliant states his own name and adds those of his male entity and his female entity. The importance of a man to a man of the protection of his patron entities is obvious from the frequent recurring petitions for restoration to their favor, when in consequence of some act or sin they have withdrawn from him their guidance and support, and he, not relying on his own efforts to appease their anger, calls in some more powerful entity, male or female entity, to act as a mediator. This fact is not sufficient, however, to explain the addition of their names